Hey Zach, thank you for coming and letting me to interview you. Please introduce yourself. You're our recent grad. Tell a little bit more about your background and tell me about your internship, your role. What was your main responsibilities?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Columbia, South Carolina. I went to high school there and moved to Greenville in 2017 and got my associate's degree for transfer from Greenville Tech. And then I transferred to USC Upstate. They have a direct partner program, so it was very easy and seamless.
Very handy.
Yes, absolutely. And then I worked for my bachelor's for about 3 years, going part-time primarily, so it took a little bit longer, but now graduated, it was definitely worth it for sure. It's a great feeling. As far as the internship, so that was an amazing experience. It was a 10-week experience. First week is primarily training and information about the company, and then you just get directly thrown into your role the next week. You meet with your team. They took me out to lunch. We had like a nice little meet and greet situation, and just started familiarizing me with the different softwares that they use. There's a lot of customer relation management software they use, different like SAP, Salesforce, things like that. So it was nice to be able to see a lot of what's being used in the industry through the internship.
Like real world, like first-hand experience.
Yes.
Actually.
Yeah, especially with having all the classroom knowledge from all the professors and being able to bring that and apply it. It was nice because they're very open with the interns, allowing them to voice their opinions, make recommendations. They very openly tell people, hey, if you see something wrong or think could be better, tell us. That's what you're here for. They want a fresh mindset. So it seemed like a very mutually beneficial internship. They get fresh perspectives and we get a lot of real world experience.
Yeah. So you interned in ScanSource. What was your position?
So my specific position was the marketing operations intern. So they have a very unique marketing department for a large corporation. Could basically just operate on its own. You could take it out of the company and it could be its own local marketing firm. They have the digital team, the copyright team. They've got all the steps of all the process for any kind of digital marketing that you can imagine. And so the operations side handles the reporting, the budgeting, and things like that for marketing and making sure everything, that marketing dollars are being allocated properly and seeing the return from them. So I was able to see that side of it and also manage a campaign project as well at the same time.
That's what you did?
Yes.
Okay.
So my department didn't have the most for me to do, but it gave me a good opportunity to step out and shadow in other departments and see more about the whole marketing team instead of just one small aspect of it.
Okay, got it. What skills did you develop or hone during your internship?
Yeah, so I mentioned some of those hard skills, like the softwares that we were learning. But
it's like essentials.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can develop all the soft skills outside and in school and everything, but seeing the actual software and the hard skills that they use in office. So there was a lot of development of those, and also just kind of, I guess, work-life balance. They put a heavy emphasis on that, and all of their positions are hybrid and remote as well. So there's a ease of how am I trying to say this? I guess ease of access for their workforce. It allows you to, if you want to come to the office every single day, or if you would prefer to work from home remotely and go
hybrid,
in maybe once. Exactly. So I guess being able to balance that, because working from home is its own challenge, really. I mean, as students.
Not really. So if you get used to
be focused, to stay on task. So it helped me grow in that regard, and especially time management skills. 100%. So.
Absolutely. So because you already graduated, and we cannot tell how your internship benefit your knowledge, but maybe you've noticed some blind spots during that you missed kind of knowledge, and you complement your skill set with this internship. If so, what it was?
So are you asking was there gaps between what I had in the classroom versus real life?
Yes.
Okay. That's a good question. I would say,
or maybe our marketing program covers pretty much everything that we needed.
So I would say that the marketing program does a great job, especially with the courses where you get to do the extended learning outside of just the classroom. Those were great to prepare. But I'd say it's interesting because as a college student, I didn't really enjoy group projects. But you realize when
Like everybody.
when you get out into the real world, everything's a group project. You're
Yes.
going to work on a team. So I'd say honestly, just more of that. And it's funny to say now, but it just really helps people recognize that no matter what position you work, you're going to be working on a team and you need to develop those teamwork skills.
Like collaboration, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And they had us do, I did one at the university and I also did one for my internship. It was a personality test, but it's more focused on how you work as a group member. And the internship did that for us. So it provided us with an opportunity to learn more about ourselves and how we work in groups. And it was pivotal because we had an internship project that we had to do. Yeah. And so we all had a group project and then also worked on our teams. Yeah. So I'd say that. I would really say that that teamwork mindset and just developing those skills was a little bit of a learning for me coming out of the classroom versus the workplace.
Okay. So we together completed the leadership program. Did it help throughout your internship?
It was pivotal. Yes.
Share,
I would say it was pivotal. All of the techniques that we learned from Dr. Campbell, and I mean from how you present yourself, your facial expressions, how to shake hands properly. It seems silly, but those type of things are important. And the other intangible skills that she talked about, you know, just how to delegate properly. 100%, this wasn't a leadership role since it was an internship, obviously, but everyone can still be a leader on a team. You don't have to have the title, but you can just assume that role and present yourself in that type of way. So I would say that Leadership Institute was pivotal.
That's great.
Especially for a business student.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think actually those knowledge could benefit every single body. But I think, especially when you're like doing this first step into real business world, into your career, how you show yourself, it is very like important and crucial in your future.
I agree.
So did you have any challenges throughout your internship or maybe some obstacles, and how did you overcome this?
Okay, yeah. So I would say that adjusting to the corporate world, because even though I'm a little bit of an older college student, have a greater work experience, I've never worked in a corporate office, especially going back to the hybrid. You can either work from office or work from home. So that was a big challenge, adjusting to that office life, working in a cubicle. But it's a very open concept. They're more modern with their office concept. So it's more of collaborative spaces, which is very nice. So, you're never too far from someone else, or you can go sit somewhere else in the office entirely, which is nice. So that was a challenge, but I adjusted eventually to the corporate lifestyle. And also, those softwares and hardwares, there is a lot of different programs that they use at ScanSource. And there's so many I couldn't, write them all down.
Learn forever.
Exactly. So there's a lot to learn, especially going into a brand new industry that I've never been in either. The tech distribution industry. I couldn't tell you anything about it before I started there. I couldn't even tell you what the company I was going to intern for. But they did a great job informing us, and everyone was super helpful with it. So I mentioned the first week, they tell you a lot of information about the company and the industry. And then they also provide, they call them walk-a-miles, but they're just a shadow program. And they require interns to do at least one, but you can do as many as you like. Okay. I did 4 different ones and got to go to different departments and shadow. So that really helps foster that learning environment when it can...
And open your mind to see different perspectives of the same department.
Absolutely, yeah.
How your experience helped to grow you professionally and personally?
So professionally, ScanSource does a lot of professional development for their interns. They have, I would say it was over 6 different workshops.
Oh, great.
There's usually 1 per week.
How long was your internship?
10 weeks.
10 weeks, okay.
I believe there was, 6 or 7 different workshops, and it pertained... I'm sorry?
2.5 months,
Yeah. And these workshops pertain to resume building, branding yourself, and whether it be from a personal appearance to your LinkedIn profile, or if you have a personal portfolio. They also had interviewing, both a presentation about interviewing tips and other things you can do to be ready for that, and then they also had an interview round robin session where they had, I believe, 10 different hiring managers set up in a room, and the interns got to go around and do multiple interviews with different hiring managers. So
you get gotta be stressful.
It was very stressful, but I felt so much more prepared to go into an interview after that, because they gave you direct feedback about what you did well and what you did poorly in the interview, which I had some negative marks, but it was nice to know where I was deficient, so I was able to correct those moving forward. So yeah, as far as professional development, I mean, all of those workshops were astounding. Personal development, I got to network quite a lot while I was there, whether it be from people that I'm going to talk to even now after the internship, and just build those relationships both personally and professionally. There's a lot of connections I made there that could help boost my career. And there's also people I met that I could just be everyday friends with. So there was a lot of development there.
Okay, when you just entered started your internship, you definitely have had some sort of your professional goals. Does it change throughout your internship somehow? Maybe you saw something that captured your attention, and you just oh my God, I want to do this. And
okay, yeah, I would say I definitely did. I saw multiple things. I realized that I've been doing B2C sales a lot of my life, and I realized I don't really want to do that any longer. B2B is much more approachable, working with other business professionals, other salespeople. They understand, sorry about that. They understand the goals that, you're trying to maintain, and you have the same kind of mindset, especially since this is a distribution, since ScanSource is a distribution company. You and the people that's supplying you and the people you're selling to all have the same goal of getting it down the line to the end user. So being able to also work in a marketing department that is, my major, I'm a marketing major, so it was great to be able to get into the field that I've worked so long to get the degree for. It was nice to be able to get into that field and kind of just solidify that, yes, that is the field I do want to be in. It was nice to be able to see that. But then it also changed my mind a little bit, because through those other opportunities to explore, was able to see different departments and different positions that I think I could work as well. So it was nice to see that, yeah, I'm a marketing major, but I can also utilize my skills in other departments and open my eyes to things that I may not have thought I wanted to do.
Yeah, I did not consider before.
Exactly, and I may be able to do well in them now.
Yeah. So you did not receive any job offers yet, but how was it after the internship? So they just invited you to the interview and said, "Hey, we would like to hire you. Let's see what we can do."
So during the last 3 weeks of the internship, they have a heavy emphasis on trying to determine whether they already know, but just get everybody on the same page of if the interns are graduating, when they're graduating. So informing them, hey, if you graduate now, start applying now. If you graduate in December, start applying around this timeline. So that was very helpful to start out. And then from there, it was looking for an opportunity. There were no positions open that I currently qualified for until I'd say right about the end of week 8. So I was very patient. I started looking externally and applying to other places as well, just to have open options. But as soon as I was applied for the position, I reached out to our recruiting manager, who was one of the also intern managers. So we developed quite the relationship. And it was funny, as soon as I sent him the message like, hey, I applied for this, just wanted to close the loop and inform him. He was like, hey, I was going to reach out to you and tell you to apply for it anyway. So there was a very open mindset of them knowing which interns are looking for a job now and trying to connect them to an open position. So I do have that interview tomorrow, and here's hoping it goes well. But an advantage of the internship is I have worked closly with multiple people who can speak for what my work quality and skills are. And so they have also put in a good word for me. So it was also another leg up.
Did you have another internships during your education at JCBE?
I did. I had another internship with Enterprise in their management training program during the spring semester at the beginning of this year.
Were they also in marketing?
This one, no, this was a management
Okay.
internship, so it was a little bit different. There's still some marketing aspects to it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more of running a small team, running
Okay.
a specific location.
Okay. So when you were looking for your summer internship,
Mhm.
how many companies did you approach?
I believe I approached more than, I'd say 5 or 6,
Mm-hmm.
but that actually got back to me and I got to the interview process. There were 2 companies
Who offered you the
who
internship?
no that I just got into the initial interview
Oh, okay.
process, and then only one offered me, which was ScanSource.
Oh, great. Okay. How hard was to get this internship? So what do you
Mhm.
find the most challenging?
Oh,
Maybe the interview process and
yeah. So I guess starting at like where I initially found out about the internship was actually at the USC Upstate Career Fair.
okay.
Both of my internships I found
That
through
we had
there.
in February.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And there was one oh no, I'm sorry, not the one at the George, the one at the main campus that they do in the
Okay,
fall.
in
I did,
September.
yes, but I did come to the one at the George as well, and I saw some familiar faces. But so I found both of them there initially, and I had to apply and go through the interview process back in 2023. So it was back in November, and that includes for the summer internship. So that was challenging. It's trying to prove yourself for something that's so far in
Yeah.
advance. But overall, I wouldn't say it was the most challenging process because I utilize a lot of the resources here at campus. Anybody who could help with career advancement,
Yeah.
resume writing, any of the above, I utilize those resources primarily to help me there. The interview process was challenging, especially for ScanSource. There were 3 interviews I had to do to get it.
It's pretty big company,
Yeah.
and they're very picky about their
They are, but
yes.
they do have a large intern class. Actually,
Mhm.
there was 26 of us this go
Oh.
around because they have so many different departments that
Mhm.
luckily you're not competing for just one spot, but
Yeah.
it was still pretty competitive.
Yes.
I believe they received over 150 applications for those 26 positions. So,
What advice would you give our students, like business students, who considering to like take an internship during the summer or maybe during the fall?
yeah, absolutely. So it goes back to my previous point: start early.
Yeah.
Start early. Start very early. Start looking for things that are going to be, for next semester if you can. If that works for you, and everyone's situation is going to be a little bit different. I would recommend that. Something I wish I had done more: get involved more at campus.
For example,
Any kind of job event that's going on,
like volunteer for something.
Anything you can do on campus, absolutely, and that includes things like the Leadership Institute that we spoke about. Any kind of associations or clubs that interest you. I didn't do it enough personally, but I've realized through the interview process, a lot of interviewers love that stuff. They love those things that you are going out of your way to do more, to get yourself involved. Extracurricular. They're not understated in the interview process, especially for internships, because they don't expect students to have a lot of experience in the job world, but they want to see them having experience in other places.
Okay.
So I would definitely recommend those 2 things.
So I'm actually surprised to hear that you weren't involved enough, even though you're like in the leadership program, you're one of the best marketing students here, you are a member, just correct me if I'm wrong, of Student Marketing Association. You don't hold any other position.
That's correct.
And it wasn't enough?
No,
or you feel it wasn't enough?
I feel it wasn't enough. I think there's just opportunity for more. And it goes back to my earlier part of my college career. Whenever I was a sophomore, junior, I wasn't doing those things. I only got involved in those in my senior year. Now that's for me when they mattered the most. But I think it could have just set a more solid foundation leading up to getting an internship, showing I've been doing these things for a while. You can stay committed to things outside of education.
And while maintaining like high GPA.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's the only reason I would say I didn't do enough.
Your high GPA? That you put more emphasis into like curriculum and classes?
That, and I was also working full time, so it also took up a lot of time in that regard as well.
Okay, I get it. How can students make most of their internship experience? What would your advice?
Yeah, try to learn. It's a little cliche, but try to learn as much as you can. ask questions, especially in an internship.
Mhm.
No one expects you to come in with any knowledge, so there's no high expectations. And if you're with a good company, no one's going to be upset with you asking questions. They're there to see you succeed and hopefully become a future employee. So ask questions is always a very good one. And I mentioned it previously, but shadow, sit with people, see what their day-to-day is like. Because someone can sit there and tell you about their position for an hour straight. Until you go and watch them do it, you'll never truly understand what they do. So take an opportunity to just see something different, try something different. I for example, had two entirely different internships to test the waters. So definitely just go in there with the mindset. You're a college student, go in there with the mindset to learn. Just keep learning as much as you can.
And what was the most rewarding part of this internship for you?
Most rewarding part. So is it okay if I split this into professional and personal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever way you prefer.
I
You
would
can
start.
say about both.
Okay, great. I would start with personal. I mentioned previously they do a lot for their internships, and that includes outside of the workplace. We had a movie night. They took us to a Greenville Drive game. We went and did like a bonding experience at the beginning at the main event. So there was a lot of like interaction, and especially positive interactions, and being able to grow and develop with other interns at the same time. Professionally, what it did most for me, I'd say the interviewing process, both with them and the workshop that they put on, just helped get me ready for that. Because the interview process, I think, is what's most stressful for most people. Being put on the spot to talk about yourself, when most of us don't do that regularly. So that's what it did for me most professionally. Just get me ready for that interview process, and that's next step up to interviewing for full-time, career, not just a job.
Yeah. Okay, what advice would you give that would help students to prepare for this interview when they're looking for internship? What would be the most crucial?
Yeah, and this is actually something I learned through my internship.
Yeah.
Research.
It's like insiders information.
Absolutely, yeah. Research the company in advance. Okay. You don't need to come in as an expert and know, hey, I know you do this, this, and this, but be aware of what they do. Be aware of the position that you're going into, whether it be an internship or a full-time position. Know the ins and outs as much as you can, of course. You can only ascertain so much from the job description. But that and other advice I would give, don't be afraid to be yourself, because no one wants to sit in on an interview with someone who's overly robotic.
Yeah.
Show your personality, because people want to hire people that they like and that they can interact with. And so that's just be genuine. Don't let your nerves catch you up. Don't become overwhelmed. I know that's so much easier said than done, but just take some breaths and just be genuine. Thank
you so much. This is very good advice. I think our students will use it, because I know this is true. I've been many times through the interview process, and just being yourself, it takes along the way, because you never know when you will be a great fit. And maybe your personal qualities will be a game changer for hiring manager.
Yeah, and we always know you have to customize to a certain degree your resume and yourself to a position, but again, don't become something that you're not.
Yes.
Don't try to make yourself fit into a role, because in the end, you might end up not even liking the role because you're forcing it, and I've been in this position where I just need a job, but I'm also still trying to be picky because I don't want to be somewhere that I'm unhappy.
Yes. Zachary, thank you so much for coming and dedicating your time to enlighten our students about your internship. I think they will take your advice and use them for good.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you.